All this year, we celebrate the 250th anniversary of American independence. What a milestone in world history. Somebody ought to light up some fireworks. Oh, wait. Scott Powell of the Discovery Institute has authored a book on America's holidays and how we can learn to appreciate our nation that much more by celebrating these holidays and learning what exactly it is that these holidays are all about. The book is called Rediscovering America. And recently, we sat down with Scott Powell to discuss the original 4th of July and why it was so dangerous for those who agreed to the Declaration of Independence.
When we speak of the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution for that matter, we have to recognize that these were revolutionary documents. This was the first time in human history where people were declaring that they had rights that came from God, and that their rights included the right to be free, to speak freely, to worship freely, and that those rights didn't come from the state. They came from God Himself. They were unalienable rights and could not be taken away by any state. In fact, it was the state's obligation to protect the rights of the people, to protect those rights of freedom, those unalienable rights. We have only 4% of the world's population, but we have actually, we're responsible for 90% of the creativity of new ideas, new products, and new services have come out of America. And out of that 4% of the population, we've created 25% of the world's wealth. This is very significant. What we celebrate on July 4th is the Declaration of Independence. We think of it as a joyful holiday, and indeed it is, but at the time of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, it was a somber occasion, because the signers of the Declaration of Independence were signing their death warrants to the British. They were committing treason against Great Britain in signing the Declaration of Independence. So this was a very serious and somber occasion, and we need to reflect on that and remember that our founders were willing to give their lives for liberty, really. I would say the Declaration of Independence is a Christian document, although it was crafted in such a way that it would be inclusive of non-Christians, particularly, let's say, Jewish people, because they were the second largest religious community in America, albeit relatively small in comparison to the Christian population. But nonetheless, it was a document that was inclusive and recognized the importance of God in our lives, of the march of God's providence. And so it is that the Declaration of Independence mentions these, mentions God and God's providence 4 times in the Declaration. Well, what distinguishes people who believe in God, they recognize that we are the pinnacle of God's creation, that mankind is, our lives are a result of God's creation, and therefore we should care for people, we should have compassion, we should have families, raise families. Well, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence should be a time of great celebration. Unfortunately, there are elements within our free society that have a different view. And unfortunately, those views sometimes are without perspective, without an historical perspective. We're not a perfect nation, but we're better than most of the other nations of the world because of our foundation, because of our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution, which gives sovereignty to the people. What other system vests the people with sovereignty, that the rights of the people, the unalienable rights of the people, which come from God, should be protected? In all of human history, it is the state that decides what the rights of the people are. And it's the states that control the people. We're not to be controlled by our government in America. We are to be free to be creative, free to pursue our dreams. And out of that, what's happened in America is remarkable.
We've been listening to Scott Powell of the Discovery Institute, helping to shed light on how the founders were risking everything for independence. An interesting unknown fact is that a year before the Declaration of Independence, a group of Presbyterian elders from Mecklenberg, North Carolina, made their own Declaration of Independence of sorts. They closed their short paragraph saying that they pledged to each other their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. A year later, Thomas Jefferson used those very words for the close of our nation's birth certificate. And it took that kind of commitment from patriots all over the colonies to help bring about the United States of America. For Providence Forum, a division of Coral Ridge Ministries, I'm Dr. Jerry Newcombe.